In this podcast episode, Tucker Carlson engages in a deep conversation with journalist Matt Taibbi, exploring a range of pressing topics, including the implications of recent pardons by President Biden, the origins of COVID-19, the Russiagate scandal, and the broader issues of censorship and media integrity. Taibbi's insights shed light on the complexities of these subjects, emphasizing the need for transparency and accountability in government actions. The discussion begins with Carlson and Taibbi addressing the recent pardons issued by President Biden, particularly focusing on figures like Dr. Anthony Fauci and members of the January 6th committee. Taibbi expresses skepticism about the motivations behind these pardons, suggesting that they may be an attempt to shield individuals from potential legal repercussions, particularly regarding accusations of perjury related to gain-of-function research. He highlights the contradictions in Fauci's statements about funding for such research, raising questions about the integrity of the information provided to Congress. Taibbi posits that the pardons could inadvertently facilitate investigations, as those pardoned would no longer be able to invoke the Fifth Amendment in congressional hearings. This could lead to revelations about the extent of government knowledge regarding the origins of COVID-19 and the actions taken in response to the pandemic. The conversation underscores the idea that these pardons may have been a miscalculation, opening the door for further scrutiny rather than closing it. As the conversation shifts to the origins of COVID-19, Taibbi emphasizes the need for a thorough investigation into the U.S. government's involvement in gain-of-function research, particularly at the Wuhan Institute of Virology. He questions the narrative surrounding the virus's emergence and the potential cover-ups that may have occurred. Taibbi suggests that the connections between U.S. funding and research in China warrant closer examination, as they could reveal critical information about the pandemic's origins. Taibbi also discusses the broader implications of the pandemic response, including the censorship of dissenting voices and the manipulation of public perception. He argues that the coordinated efforts to suppress alternative viewpoints during the pandemic have had lasting effects on public trust in institutions. The conversation highlights the importance of transparency in understanding the decisions made by health authorities and the potential consequences of those decisions. The podcast delves into the Russiagate scandal, with Taibbi asserting that the investigation into alleged collusion between the Trump campaign and Russia was marked by significant flaws. He questions the motivations behind the opening of the Crossfire Hurricane investigation and the subsequent actions taken by the FBI. Taibbi emphasizes the need to uncover the truth behind the origins of the investigation, including the role of key figures and the evidence, or lack thereof, that justified such a significant inquiry into a sitting president. Taibbi draws parallels between the Russiagate investigation and the broader issues of political espionage and lawfare, suggesting that the tactics employed during this period reflect a troubling trend in American politics. He argues that the media's failure to adequately cover these events has contributed to a distorted understanding of the political landscape, leaving many questions unanswered. A significant portion of the discussion centers on the issue of censorship and the role of media in shaping public discourse. Taibbi critiques the mainstream media's approach to reporting, noting that many outlets have abandoned their responsibility to provide comprehensive coverage of important issues. He highlights the impact of this shift on public perception, suggesting that audiences are increasingly disillusioned with traditional media sources. Taibbi points to the Twitter files as a pivotal moment in revealing the extent of government influence over social media platforms. He argues that the revelations about censorship and the collusion between government agencies and tech companies underscore the need for greater accountability and transparency. The conversation emphasizes the importance of independent journalism in challenging the narratives propagated by mainstream media and government entities. As the podcast concludes, Taibbi expresses optimism about the future of investigative journalism, suggesting that the current climate presents an opportunity for new voices and perspectives to emerge. He believes that the impending release of documents related to various scandals will provide fertile ground for independent journalists to explore and report on critical issues. Taibbi envisions a landscape where audiences are empowered to seek out diverse viewpoints and engage with complex topics, ultimately fostering a more informed public.